All right, so I am Leticia, and I'm just sharing with you guys today my testimony, and I hope that it impacts someone. I hope that people that don't know me can know me a little better. And yeah, that's it. So, um, where to start? Okay, so um, first I want to say that okay, first I want to say that I don't know. All right. So I'm going to start from the beginning and kind of just, um, right now, I'm 23. Today's my birthday. And I am saved. I'm born again. I'm born again Christian, right? And I'm going to kind of lead you guys through how that's happened and how the Lord has saved me and, um, what He saved me from. So I grew up a very insecure um, girl, that didn't really think too much about herself. Um, I never thought it was pretty. I never thought I was had nice hair. You know, I never thought much of myself except for what people would tell me I was. Um, and I think that stemmed from a lot of different things. Um, I would say, for one, I grew up, you know, kind of rejected from birth, right? Because my dad wasn't in my life, so that was already an immediate rejection. Because why wouldn't why wouldn't a father want to be with their daughter? So that was kind of already from the jump. And then I had a mother who worked all the time, and I know she had to support me, and I appreciate everything she's done for me. But it left me kind of there, um, and I didn't feel protected a lot of the times because my parents weren't really there, um, and the first one of the first times I really didn't feel protected was probably when I was around 4, when I had a girl cousin that we would hang out with all the time, and we would get together and we would all play. And I remember um, my mom and my grandma and my aunt caught us in the room, and my cousin was molesting me. And me being 4 at the time, I just thought we were playing. I didn't know that it was anything bad. um, but once they saw what was happening, they took me into the other room and they were like, what was going on? And I showed them that what was happening. And they told me that that wasn't okay, and that what was happening shouldn't have been happening. And I would say ever since after that happened when I was 4, other things started to happen because of that, right? So when I was, so that happened when I was 4. When I was in 4th grade, um, I remember typing in to my computer at my mom's job. Um, this is really weird, but I remember typing in girl on girl, right? And I didn't, no one ever taught me what anything was, but I just, like, and the thing is, I had to have just known that from what happened to me, because no one ever showed me anything. Um, and I remember typing that, and I remember just being intrigued, right? And from 4th grade on, I began to have an addiction to porn, and I didn't even know that that's what it was until I got older, that that's what it was. But that that's one of the things that happened from uh, a young age. That was something I became addicted to, and until I was like 20, 21, around those. Um, and so throughout elementary school, my life is pretty normal. Went to school, went home. Uh, and then in middle school, I remember um, I remember, my mom would let me stay at home alone in 8th grade. And I remember like inviting guys over and stuff, and like I wouldn't do anything with them, but I would just like have guys over and stuff. Um, and then I remember going to high school, and I just began to get a lot of attention from guys, and I liked it because I wasn't really getting any much attention. I felt like I wasn't getting much attention at home, so it was nice that that a guy was interested in me, um, and so I always thought that I was kind of confident, but I never realized that it was just a fake confidence the whole time, that it was just me trying to fill myself in with whatever anyone would tell me. Like, I always wanted compliments. I always wanted someone to make me feel like I was important. And I remember um, so many different things happened. I mean, like this one guy, I remember he like was talking to me this whole time, and made it seem like we were dating and had a girlfriend on the side the whole time. And then I remember, this one guy, me and him were like summer romance type thing. And I remember him just never talking to me again. And it's like stuff like that. Like it was like constant like rejection, like back to back to back. Like it just would kind of have an effect on me. And after that second thing happened, I remember it was 11th grade. And I think because I was so hurt from just guys like kind of rejecting me over and over and over again, that 11th grade, I was yeah, fill in the blank. Um, I would, a lot of guys were like interested in me and stuff, and like I didn't really understand why, because again, I didn't really think I was pretty, but guys were interested in me, and I would talk to a guy for a few weeks, and then I would cut him off, talk to another guy, cut him off, talk to another guy. And I don't know why I was like that, but I think it was, I first of all, I didn't want to get hurt by staying in it for too long. And second of all, when I didn't feel like that special, like I wasn't feeling that those comments really meant anything to me anymore, I kind of moved on, because I constantly needed that reassurance, like, oh, someone loves you, Um, and let's see, I remember the end of my senior year. So I had a best friend since like elementary school, and we were friends forever. And like that was like my best friend ever. Like I didn't feel like I needed any other type of friend. And I remember at the end of 12th grade, I had just gone through like kind of like a bad breakup in a sense. I just, had like lost my virginity and stuff, and like it was really hard for me because I wanted to keep that until I was married. And I was just dealing with stuff with my mom, because me and my mom would just always fight and argue and stuff, um, while I was in high school. And I remember one day my best friend calling me and saying, hey, we can't be best friends, like we can't be friends anymore. And I was like, what? Like, excuse me? um and I never got like an answer. No one ever told me why. It was just like, oh, all right, like you just lost your best friend and your virginity and your relationship with your mother and everything else. And so I really, during that time, was like a terrible time for me. And like I began to like resent God, because I was like, God, why would you take away the one person that actually cared about me, the one person that was actually there for me? um and I really did not like God for a while, and I remember those few years, um, I was just in a lot of different like sexual relationships and stuff, just kind of trying to like fill the voids that were, just trying to feel something, like just trying to fill that emptiness that like I always felt. Um, and then I remember it was 2016, and I had a pregnancy scare. And at that time I was like, okay, like I'm done. Like I'm really done this time. Like I'm not going back to old stuff. Like I'm done. And it lasted for a few months. I was done for a little bit, and then I went to VCU that semester, the 2016 fall, and everything that had happened when I was little, from the molestation to the porn to the, my first kiss being a girl in middle school, all that stuff kind of manifested when I got to college. And this girl was interested in me from one of my classes, and I was like, oh, whatever, like, I don't like girls, like, I'm for God and all this stuff, and trying to lie to myself like I wasn't feeling some type of way. And I remember me and the girl, we would hang out as a group with some other people because we were all studying together. And then it began to just be me and her hanging out. And, um, I remember sharing with her what happened when I was little and my addiction, and how, I would have certain feelings and things like that, but how I knew that it was wrong and how I knew that it wasn't right. And, she believed in God too, but she just didn't believe that part of the Bible. And so, we just started hanging out or whatever. Like, it was nothing at first. And then pretty much we ended up being like, in a relationship. And, you know, um, I began to start twisting the Bible. I was like, well, maybe it doesn't talk about homosexuality. Like, maybe that's just, the word they use now. Like, I even would text my friends and be like, are you sure it talks about this in the Bible? Because, like, this feels too real. Like, this has to be right, like, this feels too right to not be true. And my friends were like, no, you're just, you're wrong. But when you're in something, you try to twist it and you try to make it fit what you are, the sin you're doing. And I used to preach that, but when I was in it, I didn't believe it. And so I remember being, with this girl for a few weeks. And I remember one night just feeling the Lord tugging me. And I was just like, like, Lord, like, why do you still want me? Like, I'm dirty, like, no one loves me. Like, I'm doing all this stuff. Like, why do you care about me? And I remember just crying, and I called my youth pastor back home, because I was like, I don't know who else to call, but I'm just confused because, this feels right and this seems right, but at the same time, it doesn't. And so I called my youth pastor, and she was, pretty much at the end of the conversation, or the whole message of the conversation was, you don't know who you are. And because you don't know who you are, you try to be whatever feels good to you, And I really took that to heart. And I really, I cut off the relationship with the girl. And, you know, I began again with my relationship with God. And it wasn't until that February I got invited to this conference. It was called Bethel Campus Fellowship, and that's where I really gave my life to Christ. And he began to show me, all my different issues, like my daddy issues, my rejection issues, my mom issues, the fact that I believed everything that everyone said about me, the fact that I still saw myself as like this little girl, this little like chubby girl in elementary school, that was ugly, and that, like, I had this image in my head of who I was, and it wasn't actually who I was, but that's who I saw myself as. And at that conference, the Lord really began to tell me what I thought about myself, and how it was completely opposite of who he said I was, Like, he says I'm a royal priesthood. He says I'm a chosen people. He says I'm special. He says I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. But I never could even imagine that, like, I was those things, because you grow up getting told you're ugly, you're nothing, getting told you're not going to be anything, you're selfish, all these different things. So when someone is telling you the opposite of what you've heard for 21 years or 22 years, you're like, obviously you're thinking of someone else. And so at that conference is when I really gave my life to the Lord, and I began to see how so many different things lined up. I never knew that my molestation connected to the pornography, connected to the college, connected to the middle school. It all connected. My issues with going from guy to guy to guy was because I never was shown love by a man. So whoever wanted to show me love, I would give it. I would take it. Um, and um, you know, I've been, what is it, 2019? So I've been, and this is all because of God, but, um, I've been abstinent for 3 years. Praise Jesus. I've been free of pornography for 2 years? Um, and masturbation, all those for the same amount. And it's only because of the grace of God. Like, to think, like, I was so addicted to pornography. I would watch it multiple times a day. Like, I never thought that I would ever be free from that, because from fourth grade until you're 21, like, there's no way you stop that. Like, that's a part of your life now. Like, that's in your blood. Like, you can't stop that. So the fact that the Lord literally took that taste out of my mouth and began to fill it with other things, and like, there's so many other things I would love to share, but that's the general gist of why I serve God, because he's changed me. Like, in high school, people might have seen me as a Christian girl, but I really was a hypocrite, and truly a hypocrite. But now that I know the love of God, and now that I actually know and understand his power and how amazing he is, like, and the fact that he loves me, and some people might say, well, I already have people that love me, but they won't always be able to love you. Like, this is an unconditional love. No one can love you like that but Jesus. Like, nobody. And I think sometimes this world is so broken because we don't know of his love. We don't understand the unconditional love, the fact that a man died for you. Whether you believe in him or not, he still died for you. He still loves you, and he still wants you to know him. And he wants to set you free from those things that you don't think you can be set free from. Like, I'm a testament, and I'm not saying I'm the most confident person now, because I'm definitely not, but it's improved. I don't go from guy to guy anymore, thank the Lord. um, and I just wanted to share this because I want to be transparent with people. I want people to understand that I'm not here just serving God with no story behind why, and God truly can use anyone. He can use the liar. He can use the person that felt rejected their whole life. He can use, anybody. Um, and yeah, I mean, that's it. But I just want you guys to be encouraged and know that, like, whatever you're dealing with today, like, he can set you free from it. And if you guys have any questions or anything, or want to know anything specifically, like, I'm an open book. Um, I would love to share whatever you guys want to know. So I hope this touched someone. I hope someone um, understands and sees why I serve God. It's not just for show, but it's because he saved me, from my insecurities. He saved me from, wanting to being in bed sometimes, just crying and wanting to die because my life was so miserable to me. I'm not feeling like I was worth anything. So I hope this helps, or just informs someone. And yeah, that's it. That's it.